feeling sick.
It's really gross. And it's just creepy.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, that's hence the, like, ugh, that feeling. Like, ugh.
Is that...
Isn't that creepy? It's so creepy.
Okay.
It's like, we're gonna have to take a shower.
Everything in this video is alleged and for entertainment purposes. I have no proof of this, nor am I a professional. There's nothing wrong with being a therapist online, as long as it's done correctly. Have you ever been doing research on the internet trying to educate yourself about a certain disorder and Kati Morton will pop up?
My name is Kati Morton and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I've been creating educational mental health videos online for almost 8 years. I choose to spend my time doing this so that anyone who's struggling with a mental health issue knows that they're not alone and that there is help available, and to help them feel empowered to get the help that they need and deserve.
Since Kati claims on her website to be a licensed marriage and family therapist and runs her own private practice, aiming to destigmatize and share mental health information on the internet, one might reach the conclusion that they trust what this person is saying. As you can see with some licensed professionals on the internet, that doesn't always equate to moral authority. Today we are going to be discussing why some people have made the decision not to turn to Kati Morton for education about mental health anymore. Stemming from her pretending to be an undercover therapist in her interview she did with Jake Paul and Shane Dawson, and undercover diagnosing him. In this documentary, you can see Kati saying that people with antisocial personality disorder are creepy, gross, and after being with them, you want to take a shower. This is what so many people are afraid of. A lot of people will choose not to go to therapy because they're afraid a therapist will judge them. Can you imagine if you have antisocial personality disorder and seek therapy through Kati Morton, and what she would be thinking behind the scenes about you being gross, like, along with continuously supporting BetterHelp, which so many YouTubers have apologized for ever supporting them, along with interviewing with Eugenia Cooney and pretending she had no idea about this 5150 that happened when she was the one who gave the advice. We will be talking about all of this in today's video.
Well, but they don't have emotions, so, like, they wouldn't cry.
They might if they thought it made them fit in or, like, get what they want, because they're deceitful.
I've met a lot of YouTubers. I've definitely met a few where I've got that gut feeling.
We're talking about, like, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm feeling sick.
It's really gross.
I am not a professional, so I think with that, a lot of you guys will take things that I say with a grain of salt with that understanding. This one, in my opinion, did a lot of harm. Even Dr. Todd Grande did a video about it, although I know people some people have an issue with him too, so I'll have to look more into that. There were rumors going around about Jake Paul, so Shane Dawson did an interview with him where he brought Kati Morton on, and they did this whole excuse about how he would not know that she was an undercover therapist, and a lot of therapists argue the morality of this. Before doing the interview, she noted that she doesn't specialize in antisocial personality disorder, but she did research on it and found it interesting. The things she was saying about antisocial personality disorder can be extremely harmful, especially coming from a licensed professional. Her mission statement is literally to destigmatize mental illness, while I guess ASPD doesn't qualify.
What am I? Because, like, I feel like I attract sociopaths.
Potentially,
I'm
because
not
you're so soft.
Yeah, like, I'm not calling out people. I'm not saying there's certain YouTubers who I've, like, done videos with or any of that. I just mean in my real life. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like, but I also feel like I, like, get them and I want to help them and all of that.
Because you're empathic.
So an empath. I've heard that before.
Yeah.
What is
like,
that?
It's essentially like we feel for other people. So that's the opposite. An antisocial personality disorder or a sociopath would be your antithesis, like the complete opposite. So every time you think, oh, but like that must really suck for them, they would have none of that.
Obviously, there are extremes in every single disorder and circumstance. A lot of people with ASPD live normal lives, have normal jobs, have a family, and gasp can actually help their symptoms through therapy, which Kati Morton didn't state in her entire video, which kind of gives you the idea that people with this disorder can't change. When people had backlash from this, saying how inappropriate it was for her to make these statements, she said, due to the sheer amount of views there are, it is inevitable that there will be trolls online. When Dr. Todd Grande reacted to this, he kind of said that it's not always great for someone who doesn't specialize in a certain disorder to talk about it. When I was watching this documentary, I kind of went along with what she was saying because she's the therapist in the situation. She knows more than Shane, Jake. She doesn't talk about how there is a spectrum to ASPD. She plays off of the idea that people with ASPD don't feel remorse or guilt, while failing to recognize that a lot of cases of ASPD, not every single one, stems from childhood trauma and get to a point where they literally had to numb their feelings as to not feel the emotional distress anymore.
Isn't that creepy? It's so creepy.
Okay.
It's like, we're gonna have to take a shower. Using anything they can to get their needs met. People aren't people, they're just tools to be used in their life for their game, whatever it is.
People mentioned how stigma like this is what can deter someone with these symptoms to seek help. And Dr. Grande talked about the code of ethics of going undercover, and she stated misinformation within her interview, such as people with ASPD are very smart, when this is not the case for every person. If you are smart and have ASPD, it has nothing to do with it. It's two different things. She also stated that people with this disorder don't feel empathy whatsoever, while Grande talks about how a lot of people with ASPD do experience cognitive empathy. She also states that you can just feel when somebody has the disorder and it makes you feel all oof. Like, oh, come on. It's so...
Met a lot of YouTubers. I've definitely met a few where I've got that gut feeling.
We're talking about like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard.
It's really gross, I know.
She states that people with ASPD needs everyone to like them and need to feel better than other people, which can be a confusion between sociopathy and narcissism. They can interlap, but they are different in this way. After the video, Katie made a response video called Hate Comments from the Dark Side of Jake Paul.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to take the time to address all the hate and confusion, really, that Shane and I have received for our video together that came out last Thursday.
It appears as though she's more interested in clarifying about all of the hate she's been getting rather than the reason that these people were being hateful, which behind all the hate was the misinformation about ASPD.
I did what any other clinician would do. I grabbed my DSM, which I know many of you may not even know what that is.
This might be a nitpick, but I feel like if people are upset with her for her display of this disorder, they know what the DSM is. Also, while the DSM is a tool, it's not the final end-all be-all of diagnosing disorders. And also, people were not saying that every single thing she said within the video was false. In fact, a lot of it was true.
And I understand people are upset that the conversation about mental illness was so dramatized in his video, but have you ever watched any of his conspiracy videos before? They're always dramatic. That's what makes them interesting and exciting.
This could just be my own opinion, but I feel like mental illness should never be dramatized, and she's kind of like putting Shane in front of it and being like, well, it's always dramatized on his channel.
I'm not saying everyone is creepy or gross. I would never say that.
Wait, I'm confused because wait, like you did say that.
But if someone is hurting you and knows they're doing it, yet doesn't feel bad and will keep doing it until they get what they want, that's not a nice feeling or an exciting thing to discuss, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Being abused by someone is not cute. However, referring to a mental illness as creepy and gross and saying that the reason maybe that it's okay is because they won't feel bad, it sounds a little bit like you're defending yourself and justifying your actions and deterring your own responsibility. In fact, I wouldn't really consider this an apology video, even though she did apologize, because it was one of those apologies that's like, I'm sorry, however, my actions were justified.
The last thing I want to address are the actual comments and hate. Here's one I received today. I hope this fucking dumb bitch dies just because. Awesome. All I ask of you is that you recognize that I'm a human too. I'm not perfect, nor have I ever pretended to be. I would never speak to any of you that way, ever. Shout at you or assume the worst without knowing you. If anyone thinks it's okay to speak to another human being like that, and then expect, you know, a thoughtful conversation to happen, you're really, really wrong.
It is absolutely not okay that somebody sent these messages over to Katie. I absolutely agree with her. However, one could argue that the things she said were shaming an entire disorder.
The only way we can both learn from this and move forward is if we can each share our own perspective on a situation and really hear each other out. shaming, cussing, and shouting doesn't leave any room for that. In fact, I actually found myself completely shutting down, blocking everyone whose comment was hurtful and not even wanting to get online. And that doesn't help either of us learn from the situation.
And again, I'm agreeing with you here. However, can you imagine being someone with ASPD and the shame that you might feel knowing that this is other people's perspective on your disorder? So in my opinion, could be wrong, but what I'm gathering is that it's okay for her to be more or less mean to other people, but not people to her. Back in the day, a lot of YouTubers used to support BetterHelp, and since then, a lot of them have stopped supporting them and removed their affiliate links. But long after, Kati continued to support this company. If you don't know, BetterHelp is an online therapy platform that was exposed for many things, including therapists just randomly ghosting their clients, not showing up to appointments, and customers being charged when they weren't supposed to. This is all alleged. We have no proof for this, but there has been information brought forward saying that Kati might actually own stakes in the company. Kati Morton makes a wide variety of videos, from videos about dissociation to EDs, talking about topics even when she might not specialize in them, and some people even found that she used a .com site and read it word for word basically in one of her videos, which is not good because, for example, with the Jake Paul situation, so many people are not going to do further research. You're the therapist, and they're just going to continue believing this for forever until they learn otherwise. Kati Morton did an interview with Eugenia Cooney after she got out of a mental health facility for her ED, and during the interview she acted like she had no idea what happened. This was her first time hearing about all of this, when in reality it was said that Jacqueline Glenn, the person who originally ordered the 5150 on her, asked Kati for advice before going through with it. It was literally Kati's idea. When in the interview you can see that she is acting like she had no idea about any of this, and it was very strange to watch because I guess it could be because she's on camera, but her acting was very good, and it can be a little uncomfortable to know that she actually did know.
Oh no, actually we met first at their apartment. One of them left, and I figured they were going to get the other person that was supposedly going to be showing up. And then suddenly I see that these two other ladies come in. And I was kind of not expecting that. I didn't really know who they were. And then it turns out, I guess they were two, I don't know if they were like social workers or they worked with some mental health company.
It could, I mean, from what I know, and is that if, like, let's say I was worried about you.
Right.
And mainly the way that I see this usually playing out is if it's like your mom was really worried and you lived together.
Yeah.
And she was like, we need to get you in. And you were like, no, no, no. And she was like, I'm worried about your safety, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Then you could call the police or the PET team. It's called the Psychological Evaluation Team, PET.
It might have been them then.
So my guess would be it's probably the PET team.
If you hadn't told me that she was already aware of this and was a part of this, I would have had no idea, which is a little worrisome. And with this information, it kind of leads viewers to think, what are her underlying motives? In the video, she talks about how Eugenia is in recovery, getting better day by day, while simultaneously putting her in the spotlight, which some people argue Eugenia shouldn't be in the spotlight. It can enable her in a way, and I don't really know my opinion about this, but I guess I see this point of view. I mean, she spent less than 1 month in inpatient, and immediately after we're interviewing her, you can see her sympathizing with Eugenia, disassociating herself from the situation when it was originally her idea in the first place. I understand that as a therapist, it's important to be empathetic and always listen to your patients, but it did seem a little disingenuous and kind of a ploy to distance yourself from the situation. So yeah, I guess the Eugenia one seems sinister, while the Jake Paul one is just straight out sad that you would characterize an entire disorder like that in front of hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of views. Let me know your thoughts on this situation. Did you ever watch Kati Morton? I definitely used to go to her for mental health content. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, turn the bell on. Thank you so much, and comment below. It helps with the algorithm. Have a good day, night, whatever the case may be, and peace out.